The meeting room was silent, no one dared to even breathe too loudly. John Jungkook sat at the head of the long glass table, sleeves rolled up, jaw tight and eyes cold, the kind of stare that could burn through anyone's excuses. Whose idea was it? He asked, his voice was calm but heavy. To approve the campaign without confirming it with me first. The team leader swallowed hard. It was me, sir. Jungkook closed the file slowly, then you can also handle the loss it causes. A few heads dropped instantly. Everyone knew John Jungkook didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His silence was enough to make people panic. Meeting dismissed. The words came out low, final. Chairs moved instantly. Footsteps scattered. He was left alone in the room, staring at the city through the glass wall. That cold, strict mask. It was everything people knew about him and everything he was tired of. Then a soft knock came at the door. His secretary peeked in nervously. Mr. John, Miss Lee Wyan is here. She says she wants to see you. His hand froze mid-air. Wyan. He hadn't expected to hear your name. Not in the middle of this dull, endless day. He cleared his throat quietly, trying not to let the flicker of warmth show on his face. Send her in, he said as if it didn't make his heart skip a beat, but it did. When the door opened and he walked in with that bright smile of yours, everything in him shifted. The room didn't feel cold anymore. You held up a small cup. Coffee delivery for the most terrifying man in Seoul. He blinked once, trying to hold back a smile. Is that supposed to be a compliment? Take it however you want, you said, placing it on his desk. I heard from your secretary you have been scaring people since morning. Thought caffeine might soften the damage. He looked at the cup, then at you. You came all the way here for that? You shrugged lightly. Also to discuss the wedding dress options, but yeah, mostly coffee. Something in him loosened at your casual tone. Everyone else walked on eggshells around him. You walked right in with jokes and warmth like you owned the place. You don't seem nervous, he murmured, almost curious. Should I be? You asked, tilting your head. You're not scary to me. His lips curved slightly. You should tell my staff that. They might finally stop running. You chuckled, settling in the chair across from him. Maybe they would relax if you smiled once in a while. He raised an eyebrow. Smile. Yeah, like this. You flashed a big grin. He stared for a second and then, to your surprise, a faint laugh escaped him. Just one, but it was real. You are unbelievable. And you are bad at taking compliments, you teased. Anyway, about the wedding. I was thinking of something elegant, maybe a classic white theme. You look good in white, by the way. He tilted his head slightly. You think so? I know so, you said without hesitation. You have got that serious face. White will make you look softer. That word caught him off guard. Softer. No one had ever described him like that. He didn't reply right away, just watched you, your hands moving animatedly as you talked, your voice warm, your eyes alive. He had met hundreds of people, seen every type of personality, but no one like you. There was something about the way you filled every corner of the room with light, something that made the air feel different around you. Are you even listening? You asked, snapping him out of the thoughts. Yes, he said quickly. You were talking about white. You smiled knowingly. You weren't listening at all. Maybe I was distracted. He admitted quietly. By what? He looked at you for a long moment before answering, voice lower now. You. You blinked, caught off guard, and he quickly looked away, pretending to pick up his phone. You said you were free for dinner. You tilted your head. Oh, is that a dinner invitation? He coughed softly. Consider it a discussion meeting. With food? With food, he said, finally allowing himself to smile, small and genuine. Come on, let's go before I change my mind. That evening, the two of you sat by the window of a quiet restaurant. City lights reflected in the glass while you talked endlessly about music, travel, and how serious you looked in every photo ever taken. Do you ever relax? You asked, sipping your drink. Sometimes, he said softly. When? He thought for a moment, eyes drifting to you. Right now. You went still, not sure how to reply, but he didn't expect you to. He just continued watching you, that calm smile resting on his face, the kind that felt new, fragile, and sincere. When he dropped you off later that night, you waved goodbye. Don't overwork yourself, okay? I'll try, he said quietly. Text me when you get home. You grinned. You sound like a husband already. The words stayed with him even after you left. Back at his penthouse, the silence greeted him like always, but tonight it felt heavier. He loosened his tie and sat on the couch, staring at the untouched dinner he had ordered for himself that morning. The same routine, the same emptiness, but for the first time, he didn't want it. He closed his eyes, and all he saw was your face, your laughter, your teasing voice, the warmth in your eyes when you looked at him like he wasn't just another name, another company, another title. It was an arranged marriage, but he already felt so hard for you even before the marriage. He chuckled softly to himself. Leave Ian. He whispered under his breath, shaking his head. How strange, he thought, that someone could walk into his life and make every quiet corner feel alive again. He leaned back, a faint smile tugging at his lips. He couldn't wait for the day he would move into his world for real. So he would never have to come home to this silence again. Because for the first time in years, John Jungkook wasn't afraid of losing control. He was afraid of losing you. The wedding day had finally arrived. The grand hall shimmered with soft gold light, floral arrangements everywhere, laughter echoing through the air. It was everything a wedding should be, beautiful, alive, and warm. And there, in the middle of all that noise and color, stood John Jungkook, dressed in a simple black tuxedo, hair brushed neatly, fingers fidgeting slightly at his cuffs. He didn't like attention, never had. Crowds made him restless. Too much noise made him want to disappear. But today he couldn't take his eyes off you. You stood across the room laughing with your friends, greeting people like the world itself was your friend. You were glowing, truly glowing. And for a moment Jungkook forgot to breathe. His best man nudged him gently. You are staring, man. Jungkook blinked, clearing his throat. I'm just watching. Watching? You look like you're memorizing her face. Subin teased him. Jungkook gave a small, quiet smile. Maybe I am. He wasn't used to being surrounded by people. He wasn't used to feeling. But every time your eyes found his in the crowd, he felt that warmth again. The same one that had filled him since the day you walked into his life with that smile he would die for. And then the moment came. The music began, the hall quieted. You walked down the aisle in a soft ivory gown, your smile reaching him long before you did. Jungkook didn't even notice the applause, or the flashes of cameras, or the whispers around him. All he saw was you, and when you stopped in front of him, everything else disappeared. He took your hand gently. You look. He hesitated, his voice was low. Beautiful. You smiled. You look nervous. He chuckled quietly, maybe because I am. Why? He exhaled slowly, because this feels unreal. You squeezed his hand. It's real. We made it real. He smiled at that, a small, honest smile that only you ever got to see. Later that evening, after the ceremony, the reception was loud and lively. You were surrounded by friends, some teasing, some hugging, some sharing stories from years ago. Jungkook stood a little apart, a glass in his hand, watching you. He didn't know most of them. There were so many boys and girls, all calling your name, laughing with you like you were the center of their universe. And maybe you were. He watched the way you moved through the crowd, so effortlessly, so full of life, while he stood still, quiet and reserved. It hit him then just how different you both were. He liked silence, You thrived in chaos. He found comfort in solitude, you found it in people. Still, when you caught his eye from across the room and smiled, it was like the world made sense again. You came running over, excitement in your voice. Everyone is loving you. Even Mingyu said you looked way too handsome for your own good. He raised a brow. Mingyu, my best friend from college. You explained, pointing at a guy across the room waving cheerfully. We have known each other forever. Jungkook gave a polite nod toward him, but his expression was unreadable. Ah, I see. You looked up at him with playful eyes. Why do you look like you are calculating his net worth? I'm not, just observing. You laughed, shaking your head. You and your serious face. Come on, let's take pictures. That night, when the celebrations ended and the two of you finally stepped into your new home, quiet, soft, and lit only by warm lamps, Jungkook felt something deep in his chest. He helped you out of your heavy veil, his fingers careful, gentle. You looked up at him and smiled. Thank you, husband. He froze slightly at the word husband. It sounded unreal. You don't have to thank me for that. He said softly. You sat on the edge of the bed, your gown still pooling around you. You are still nervous, aren't you? He met your eyes, the faintest smile tugging at his lips. A little. Why? He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. Because you make me feel things I don't understand. You blinked, your heart warmed at those words. That's the sweetest thing you have ever said. He chuckled quietly. I wasn't trying to be sweet. I know, he teased gently. That's what makes it sweeter. For a moment, silence. The kind of silence that wasn't cold or heavy, just comfortable. Then his voice came low and unsure. Are you happy with this marriage? You looked at him genuinely surprised. Wow, what a question after everything happened. Why wouldn't I be? He lowered his gaze. I just wanted to make sure. You smiled softly. Jungkook, I always wanted this. I was the one who asked my father to approach your family, remember? He looked up, eyes searching yours. You told me yes. You nodded. I didn't want to marry just anyone. I wanted you. The words hit him harder than he expected. His breath caught for a second. You really mean that? Every word, you whispered. I wanted to be with you because I saw something in you that no one else did, and I still do. He couldn't answer right away. He just stared at you, trying to process how someone could look at him. A man who barely smiled, barely spoke, with that kind of warmth. You reached out slowly, brushing a strand of hair from your face. You don't know what you have done to me, do you? You smiled softly. Maybe I do. He let out a soft laugh, pulling you close, holding you like you were something fragile and irreplaceable. That night wasn't about passion. It was about presence, about two people sitting quietly under the same light, learning how to breathe in the same rhythm. Everything felt perfect. Days passed, then weeks. Married life was gentle, easy. Jungkook loved waking up to your sleepy smile, your soft humming in the kitchen, the little notes you left on his desk. He didn't realize when it happened. That slow change, the way his happiness began to twist into something else. It started when he saw you laughing with Mingyu again. The two of you were at a small cafe, your laughter echoing through the room. Jungkook had come to pick you up and he stood by the door, unnoticed for a moment. You were talking freely, carefree, your hand brushing his arm when you joked about something. Jungkook felt something sharp and strange in his chest. When you finally saw him and waved, he smiled back, small, forced, and the warmth he once felt now tangled with doubt. That night, as you talked about your day, he only half listened. His replies were short, his voice quieter. You didn't notice it then, but he was slipping away. Because in his mind, the thought had begun to grow. Maybe he wasn't as special to you as he thought. Maybe he was just another person in your wide, bright world. And for a man who had once felt complete just by your presence, that thought was unbearable. So little by little, John Jungkook began to distance himself, not because he stopped loving you, but because he was scared that you didn't need him the way he needed you. The morning used to start with his quiet smile, now they started with silence. You noticed it first in the small things, the way he stopped waiting for you at breakfast, the way his hand, once always finding yours under the table, now stayed by his coffee mug. It wasn't sudden, it was slow, like the warmth leaving a room you didn't realize had an open window. That evening you were sitting on the couch when he walked in, hair still damp, shirt sleeves rolled up, his usual post-workout look. He didn't say much, just nodded once before walking past you. You turned around frowning. Jungkook, is everything okay? You didn't even look at me properly. He paused, one hand on the back of the couch. I did. You sighed. No, Jungkook, you didn't. You looked through me. That made him freeze for a second, but instead of answering, he just sat down and turned on the TV. You moved closer. You have been quiet lately. Did I do something wrong? His eyes stayed on the screen. No, you didn't. Then why do you sound like you're trying to convince yourself? You said softly, trying to catch his gaze. He looked at you then, those dark, unreadable eyes that once lit up the moment you entered the room. Now they were tired and guarded. I've just been busy, he said finally, voice calm but distant. You tilted your head. Busy avoiding me? His jaw clenched. Don't start whining. Start what? A conversation? You said, frustration seeping through your tone. Because that's all I'm trying to do. He exhaled slowly, leaning back. You don't have to worry about me. You have got enough people around to talk to. That hit you harder than you expected. You stared at him confused. What do you mean by that? He avoided your eyes, pretending to check his phone. Nothing, forget it. Jungkook, you know I hate when you shut me out like this. His lips parted but nothing came out. After a moment he stood up. I'm just tired, okay? Long day. You watched him head toward the bedroom. Your chest tightening. You wanted to stop him, but something about the look on his face, that quiet heaviness, made you stay still. He whispered, you don't look tired, you look hurt. He paused at the door for just a heartbeat, then walked in and closed it behind him. Later that night, you peeked inside. He was lying on his side, eyes open, staring at nothing. You climbed into bed, quietly facing him. Good night, Jungkook. You murmured. He didn't reply, but when you turned your back, you felt the bed shift, his hand hovering near yours for a second before pulling back. Meanwhile, his thoughts were loud. He stared at the ceiling long after you fell asleep, eyes burning with emotions he didn't understand. She laughs so easily with everyone, so comfortable, so open. Why does it bother me so much? He turned his head slightly, watching you sleep, strands of hair falling over your face. You looked peaceful, safe, so close, yet somehow so far. His chest tightened painfully. I shouldn't feel this way. He whispered to himself, you're mine, but it never feels like it. He reached out, brushing his fingers against yours under the blanket, before pulling back again, afraid that touch might reveal too much. Because the truth was simple, John Jungkook, the man who never let anyone close, was scared. Scared that the woman who made him feel special might not see him that way anymore. You stood by the window, crossing your arms, watching the rain slide down the glass. The house was too quiet again. No laughter, no music, no teasing like before. He was sitting on the couch, pretending to scroll through his phone, pretending not to notice your silence. You finally turned around. We can't keep doing this, Jungkook. His eyes lifted slowly. Doing what? This. You said, your voice trembling but firm. You ignoring me, acting like nothing is wrong when clearly something is. You took a step closer. If you have got a problem with me, then just say it. Don't punish me with silence. He swallowed. He avoided looking in your eyes. I'm not punishing you. Then what are you doing? You come home and barely talk. You used to look at me like I was your favorite person. Now it feels like you can't even stand being in the same room. He looked down at his hands. You are overthinking. No, Jungkook, you said firmly, I'm done overthinking. If you don't want this marriage, if you're not happy, tell me now and I'll leave. But stop making me feel like I'm the only one trying. That made him look up. For the first time in weeks, there was panic in his eyes. What? You nodded. If you don't trust me enough to tell me what's wrong, then maybe I should. He stood abruptly. Don't say that. Then tell me why, Jungkook. What did I do? Why are you pushing me away? The words hung heavy between you, the only sound the rain outside. Finally he exhaled, slow, shaky, like he had been holding it all in for too long. You didn't do anything, he said quietly. That's the problem. You frowned, confused. What? He looked at you now, really looked, eyes glassy with everything he had been hiding. You are so warm with everyone. You make people laugh. You make them feel seen. I see how they look at you, especially your guy friends. And I know they mean nothing to you, but... His voice trailed off. It made me realize how different we are. You stare at him, the truth finally sinking in. I'm not like you. I don't know how to make people like me. I don't even try, but you walk into a room and it lights up. And I just feel like one of those shadows that disappear when you are around. You took a small step closer. So you started avoiding me? I didn't mean to, he whispered. I thought maybe you would realize I'm not as special as you thought. Maybe you would see someone better, someone easier. Your chest tightened painfully. Jungkook, is that what you have been thinking all this time? He pressed his lips together, nodding once. You deserve someone who can keep up with you. I'm not, I'm just quiet, dull, not the type who knows how to make you laugh the way they do. You felt tears burning your eyes now. You idiot, you said softly, shaking your head. I didn't marry you to be entertained. I married you because you make me feel safe, because your quiet is my favorite kind. His eyes widened slightly as you stepped closer, cupping his face in your hands. Do you even know how much I waited for this marriage? You whispered. Do you know how hard I tried to get you to notice me back then? I never wanted anyone else, Jungkook, just you. He let out a shaky breath, his eyes glistening. You really mean that? You nodded, tears finally slipping down, every word. For a moment neither of you spoke. Then he reached out, pulling you into his arms, holding you tight as if afraid you would disappear if you let go. I'm sorry, he murmured against your hair. I didn't know how to say it. I was just scared. You smiled through your tears. You're allowed to be scared, but not insecure. Next time just tell me instead of shutting me out. He nodded. I will, I promise. You leaned back slightly, brushing his cheek with your thumb. Good, because if you ever ignore me again, I'm dragging you back into a conversation no matter what. A small laugh escaped him, the kind you hadn't heard in weeks, a deal. And when he kissed you then, it wasn't desperate, it was quiet, like two people finding their way back after being lost for too long. The rain still fell outside, but inside the silence was gone, replaced with something gentler, warmer. The kind of peace that comes only when love finally finds the courage to speak.